one of the biggest stars that could become available this offseason for the NBA is Kevin Durant. And he's going to be 37 years old. Crazy to think. He's getting older, getting to that. Crazy to think our stars, our best players that we watched growing up since we were kids, are getting older. Kevin Durant, though, like LeBron, his game has aged gracefully. Still a bucket. 37 years old, averaged 26 a game last season, shooting 43% from three, shooting 52% from the field. Still is a decent defender, a great team defender by that. So I think he's a phenomenal player to add on any team, any offense. Team chemistry would be high. Adding a player like this, a superstar like this is the guy that could fit with any star. He's not ball dominant. He could score. He could create on his own. He could also play make and facilitate for other players around him. So I like a lot of destinations for him. In this video, I'm going to break down my favorite destinations for him. I'm going to rank them and, give you a full breakdown on where I think Kevin Durant will land. Now, let's start off with the team that I feel like has the best package that they could put together to get Kevin Durant, the Houston Rockets. They have the Suns picks, and the Suns really want their draft capital and control over their draft capital once again. And the Suns, they were trying to trade Kevin Durant at the deadline without communicating that to him, kind of a blindside kind of move. So there's already been some deals that have probably been sent to them. Houston, they could give the best package because they have the Suns picks and they have the best young talent, I feel like. And they have multiple young talent that they can give up without, diminishing their bench, diminishing their chances to compete for a championship. Kevin Durant could still fit into the mix with, Şengün and Jalen Green. You look at a package like Reed Shepherd, Cam Whitmore, and, the Suns picks back for Kevin Durant. And they even have a package they could put together for Devin Booker if the Suns move on from Devin Booker. But I think Kevin Durant is the best move for the Rockets to win the championship in the next 2 years. If you're thinking future, obviously you trade for Devin Booker, but within the next 2 years to win a championship, which I think the Rockets, this young core, getting a veteran like Kevin Durant, he could help them elevate their game. A Şengün could be better offensively with Kevin Durant. Jalen Green could, be better as an offensive scorer with a guy like Kevin Durant, helping him solidify his mid-range game, helping him, shore up things in his offensive bag, and just having a guy that could score on the perimeter like Kevin Durant. Maybe he could work with Amen Thompson too, and help him finally get an offensive bag, which would be dangerous for the whole NBA. So I think Houston is a great option. I think Kevin Durant could go there, and this would be a title team. This is a team that could compete with OKC because, Jalen Green, Şengün, what they showed in the playoffs, inconsistencies, especially Jalen Green. There was a huge struggle for him. Doesn't deserve that Wingstop commercial anymore. Honestly, if they're trying to get a Giannis, I'd give up Jalen Green to get Giannis. I'd put him in those packages, just how poor he was in the playoffs. But getting a guy like Kevin Durant, and you don't have to give up Jalen Green and Şengün, I think that would be a nice big three with, Tari Eason still off the bench, Jabari Smith still there, probably coming off the bench with Kevin Durant being the starter. So a lot of options for the Rockets. I think Kevin Durant would be a great solution to some of their, problems offensively. And with a guy like Ime Udoka, I think he could facilitate a great winning team with Kevin Durant and some of these pieces that the Rockets have. So I think that's a good destination. Not my favorite destination, but I think this is a team that has the best package that they could put together. The second team, I think the Golden State Warriors. Now, Kevin Durant didn't want to go to the Warriors, Draymond Green issues and stuff, but I think this is still a destination that would be really nice for Kevin Durant. Jimmy Butler, Curry, Kevin Durant, Draymond Green, that's a nice core four. They could give up Pods, they could give up Moses Moody, and sign and trade Kuminga and send that package over to the Suns. And, the Suns have a nice young core to work with Devin Booker. If they want to move on from Devin Booker, they can, and get those picks back from the Houston Rockets, send him to Houston. But Golden State, they need more scoring on the perimeter too. They need a guy that can just create his own shot. We saw in the playoffs, Jimmy Butler wasn't able to hold his own like he used to with the Miami Heat. Curry went down in this offense. It looked bad. Adding a scorer like that, a 30 points per game scorer in the playoffs career-wise, that would be huge for them. And Kevin Durant has already showed you he could work in a Steve Kerr offense. He could work alongside Steph Curry. Draymond Green, the continuity could be there. I'm sure Draymond Green and Kevin Durant could resolve their issues with winning. So I think Golden State is the second most interesting destination for Kevin Durant, and that's where I would want him to see Jimmy Butler, playoff Jimmy, attacking the rim, getting to the rim. Kevin Durant creating his own shot, getting buckets. That would be a dangerous team. That's a team that could win a championship. I know they have to give up a lot of their young core, but some people are going to take some pay cuts to go over to Golden State and potentially win with all those pieces. New York, obviously, this is a destination I like too. I think Kevin Durant, if he wants the best chance to win a championship, New York is a place to go. He went to Brooklyn instead of going to New York with Kyrie, but I think with Jalen Brunson, a really good scorer, a really good player, he's not somebody that I think could be the number one on a championship team. Kevin Durant still can. Kevin Durant still has proven that he can be that scorer and be that number one option. You plug him in New York, you would probably put up Karl Anthony Towns in that deal. The Suns, they want a center, so you give them Karl Anthony Towns, a guy that already has a good relationship, a good connection with Devin Booker. You're keeping Devin Booker happy, and you see what that team does. You add some more pieces, and yeah, you get a guy that's an all-NBA level player in Karl Anthony Towns. The Knicks, Jalen Brunson, Mikal Bridges, OG, Kevin Durant. You have Mitchell Robinson. I'd keep him as our starting center. He provided great minutes in the playoffs. He was phenomenal getting offensive rebounds and stuff. Kevin Durant I think he improves the level of scoring you got from Karl Anthony Towns, and he's a better team player than Cat, and he's a better team defender. So I think, yeah, that Knicks team could compete in the East, in a wide open East, getting Kevin Durant. Would the Suns do that, or would they take a package from other teams? Who knows? But that's a landing spot I love for Kevin Durant. I think he would be the number one option. I know Jalen Brunson, phenomenal player, clutch player, but there's some limitations to him. We saw in the playoffs. We saw, the Pacers, a well-coached team. Maybe that's on coaching, but we saw there's ways to frustrate him with physicality. There's ways to, get him outside of his game, whereas Kevin Durant, you have no answer for him. There's nothing to stop him. We've seen the videos, the edits. Hey, you know who I am? I'm Kevin Durant. And he drops 50 in the playoffs against Patrick Beverley and the Clippers. So I think Kevin Durant coming to the Knicks would be huge. The Knicks would be back. They have the roster to compete too. They just fired Tom Thibodeau. So hopefully an offensive-minded coach comes into the mix. And yeah, I would love to see what they can do with that. And that's a landing spot Kevin Durant could go and restore his legacy. Legacy is important to him. Well, he's a hooper at the end of the day, but I'm sure, him clapping back at, fans and stuff, there's still some meaning to, having his legacy, having something to be happy about and being proven. The championships that he has in Golden State, the finals MVPs have asterisks on them. So going to New York, winning a championship, giving the Knicks their first championship since the 70s would be huge. Clippers, I think that's a nice spot to, form a big three, Harden, Kawhi. I don't know how they could work that framework-wise, but I think him in LA, James Harden, love playing with him in Brooklyn, so they have a good relationship together too. Kawhi would dominate with Kevin Durant and Harden facilitating. I don't know, maybe Zubac would have to be in that deal, unfortunately. I don't know how they would have to make that work, but that would be a big three I would love to see. Steve Ballmer's been known to make big moves, so I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't put that past him making a move like that. Spurs is a good move. Kevin Durant with Wemby, De'Aaron Fox, Stephon Castle. I mean, the Spurs have a lot of assets similar to the Houston Rockets where they can give capital to the Suns and they can give players like Vassell, Jeremy Shoen without having to diminish their team completely. So the Spurs, Wemby, two giants, two guys that are going to get a bucket, and they could even still have Devin Harper in the mix. However they work, give the Suns their other pick in the lottery. So yeah, the Spurs and the Rockets are two teams that I think could make a deal work, and that would be interesting seeing Kevin Durant go somewhere, a legacy organization, and potentially have a chance to win a championship. That's another destination I wouldn't think people would treat it the same as they did Golden State, because he would kind of be a leader on that team. He wouldn't be the number one option with, Wemby taking those next steps and being one of the best players in the NBA, but I still think that's a destination, a nice legacy destination. Minnesota's the best destination, though, for me. That's the most interesting destination. I think that's the destination people would respect the most. Minnesota, back-to-back Western Conference Finals appearances, playing with a guy like Anthony Edwards, the next Michael Jordan. He needs to elevate his game. He needs a mid-range in his game. He needs to improve some aspects in his game. Kevin Durant will help him with that. Kevin Durant is somebody he looks up to, his idol, and those two, they've been rumored to want to play together. Anthony Edwards has spoke highly of him. Kevin Durant is a guy that, values relationships. So those two joining forces, Julius Randle, you send him to the Suns. DiVincenzo, you send him to the Suns. Maybe a Luka Garza, whatever, another young player in the mix. As long as you don't give up Terrence Shannon Jr. and Rob Dillingham, you could give up pick 17 in that deal too. And with Julius Randle, still a physical, competitive player, DiVincenzo, the Suns still are going to want to remain competitive. I think they can, adding Julius Randle and some other players like that to the mix. So I really like Minnesota. That's my favorite destination because we all want to see Anthony Edwards win. We all want to see him be the new face of the league, and adding Kevin Durant to Minnesota, you can't double team Anthony Edwards when you have Kevin Durant. I think a lineup of, as long as the Timberwolves can get a deal done, I think the frameworks are there. They already reportedly were trying to get a deal done. They sent a deal to the Suns at the trade deadline. It, fell through. So they already have the pieces. The conversations have already been had. I think if you give up Julius Randle, DiVincenzo, if you could keep Dillingham, and if you could re-sign Naz Reid, you do a sign and trade with Nickeil Alexander-Walker, put him in that trade too. I don't mind it. As long as you have Terrence Shannon Jr., Naz Reid, you give more minutes to Rob Dillingham, I think you're looking at a good lineup. Rob Dillingham starting at point guard, Anthony Edwards, Jaden McDaniels, Kevin Durant, Rudy Gobert, Naz Reid coming off the bench, Terrence Shannon Jr., Mike Conley coming off the bench, Jalen Clark. And I think that's a formidable team. I think that's a team that could win the West and beat OKC. Some people thought the NFC North was going to be the worst division in football this season. They thought it was going to be as bad as the NFC South.